Hello to all you guys out there in YouTube land. Yes, it's me, DR, and I thought I would do a quick video. I've been thinking about this kind of subject, and one I want to test out my smartphone because I want to do a few more mobile vlogs. And I want to see how this comes out as well. So this is more of a stream of consciousness. I've jotted down a few notes just to keep my brain intact, make sure I don't go off tack. But one of the things that I've seen lately is kind of this rise of YouTube criticism. Now, I think YouTube was founded on YouTube criticism. There's lots of videos out there that are based around YouTube criticism, and I'm not against YouTube criticism. It's not a video like that. This is purely an observation that I've seen. It's kind of just wanted to put out there and see if you guys have seen this and what your views are on this type of criticism. So, you know, I've seen one of the things that I'm brutally aware of on YouTube is that criticism is the vogue. We love it. You know, we love those types of videos. We love the red letter media critique of the Star Wars movies. We love iDobs, Content Cop. We love that. We love, you know, from grade A all the way to kind of one of my personal favorites, and I say his name on probably every other video, but Noel Plum's criticisms and critiques of things. You know, critique is literally just a case of, you know, detailed breakdown, you know, detailed analysis of things going on and what's happening. So, you know, I get that, and the ones that I've kind of pointed out are what I think are some of the best. I think, you know, as I said, the Star Wars critiques, criticism, whatever label you want to put on what they've done, the detailed analysis is some of the best work I think is on YouTube. You know, for me, there's the best ones out there are both entertaining as well as informative. They follow a nice flow. They're great to watch. You can watch them, but also they tell you something. There's some points there. Same with iDubbbz. iDubbbz is incredibly entertaining, but his point, he does make really, really valid points. The same with Noel Plum. The same with Grade A. All very different in terms of style, in my opinion, but they hit that point. But I think the challenge is success breeds imitation, and some of the imitations that I've seen out there, you know, they have all of they try and go for the entertainment factor without doing the groundwork and the hard work to make sure they've actually kind of made some points and put some points out there. That's kind of one. But also I've seen this prevalence of critique channels that are just there to critique. Now, I'm not saying that you can't critique something. I'm not saying that criticism involves some form of self-reflection or revelation. So, you know, you don't have to tell something about your points of views in order to critique. I just think it's quite telling that there are a few channels that are purely critiquing and not necessarily putting anything of themselves out there. It's almost like they're snipers hiding in the sky, just shooting at people, but they're not putting their views out there. I think even when you look at, I'm trying to think, people like Leafy and Pyrocynical, at least you have a kind of awareness of their points of view, how they're looking at these things. I think there's some people, and when I think about an infamous critique that had kind of no backing, with someone like Christie Winters, and Noel Plum's done amazing videos about her responses to him, and the fact that I don't believe they were critiques. They were almost just kind of ad hominem attacks and the like. But at least with a Christie Winters, you understand where she's coming from and her lens. She's willing to put out her views, whether or not you agree or disagree with them. She does put out her views, so you're kind of really crystal clear in terms of where she's coming from. I think I've seen a rise of channels where it's purely just picking apart other people's opinions, and they don't necessarily put forth where they come from. And I think for me, that really hinders dialogue. You know, one of the reasons I go on YouTube, one of the reasons I make videos is to have dialogue. And maybe my channel's not big enough to have that quote unquote right, I think it's a right. I think it's just the way it is. I have engaged in some off YouTube discussions and dialogues with people. So for me, I'm not afraid of criticism or critique. I think that's naturally going to happen at some point. But it's more from people who hide behind the fact they're critique channels and don't necessarily tell you what they think. As I said, I don't think it's essential. You don't need to do that to critique someone. It's not it's not a prerequisite to saying this is my position, this is your position. I mean, I think in a lot of discussion with religious people, I tend to be quite Socratic. So in the initial point, I don't turn around and say this is my view or not. I kind of go for a fact of understanding their point of view. But at some stage, I do tell them. I think that's in the degree of honesty you need to. I don't hide behind the fact that I want to understand, or I want to evaluate, or I want to entertain, and put out my opinions. I think that really kind of shows that maybe the goal of these channels is purely to entertain and purely to, I say he's using a word, but purely to titillate, purely to create exposure, rather than actually to honestly have a conversation, a dialogue. I mean, you know what? And people are free to do what they want to do. So I'm not getting in the way of that. I just think it shows something about the individual. I think YouTube has moved a lot due to the fact that ad revenue is coming and potentially going. So now it's all potentially about exposure, getting views, getting ad revenue, getting money. And YouTube's become more of a place that, rather than having kind of a free expression of ideas, and I think it still happens, is now become a business to a lot of people and about an avenue for fame. And part of that is becoming a critique channel. It's probably the easiest, I'd say easiest. It seems like an easy avenue in terms of getting into YouTube. No, it's fairly easy. And I don't want to, but compared to animation and so on and so forth, it's fairly simple. That's to get a video camera and put your ideas. I mean, I do it. So end of the day, I understand why these guys do it, but I just think it shows that, I don't know, it says something about the individual when they're not willing to put their own ideas out there to be challenged the same way they would challenge someone else's. So anyway, this is DR, just putting out a video saying peace out, have a safe journey wherever you're heading, bye.